Good evening, YouTube. How is everyone doing?
Evening.
This week I have Matt with me, but also I have Mike from Rebel Reef with me as well. So we're going to be talking about all sorts of different things. We've had you on before, haven't we, Mike?
Yep.
We definitely ran out of time. So yeah, this is a return to Rebel Reef.
Take two.
Yeah. So let's see who we have with us tonight. Scott was here very early. Scott was here before 7 p.m., like over an hour before the stream started. Good evening, Scott.
Just to beat John.
Yeah, just to beat John. And then John is here as well. Good evening, John. Travis is here. Good evening, or good afternoon, Travis.
Good afternoon.
And who else do we have? Terry Teckers. Good evening, Terry.
Terry.
Harry West. Good evening. Who else? Harry's been buying corals. Got 5 new frags from Half Cut Corals yesterday.
Well,
they were doing like a pack of 5 for 35 quid. And it was, there was a Sophastria, and they were like your bread and butter corals. But
that's not bad to get you started. If you've never had anything before, why not? You know what I mean?
Yes, yeah, it's good.
Stuff that don't die builds confidence, doesn't it?
Yeah. Good evening, Woody. I think you're doing well.
Good evening.
Good evening, Jamie.
Good evening.
Good evening, Anthony.
Anthony.
Good evening, Rama.
Rama.
Good evening, Lindsay, who has assured me she's going to come and say hi at Love to Reef.
Please do. We're not going to buy it.
Yeah, we were all in a reef shop the other week, and then we found out once we'd left that she was there with us. She didn't say hi, so definitely come and say hi to us. And I know we look a bit weird, but
yeah. we're not scary.
Yeah. Mark says, "Good evening, you awesome T-fits."
Good evening.
I think he meant reefers.
Yeah.
Who else have we got? Just scrolling through. Gazar is here. Good evening, Gaza. I hope you're doing well. Hope you had a good birthday the other day.
Yeah.
21, yeah, part 17 or something.
Yeah.
Good evening, Chris.
Good
evening, Dave. Who else do we have? Good evening, James.
Good evening.
Good evening, Liam.
Good evening.
Oh, wow. 50 plus 1.
What?
Oh, 50 plus 1 day. So he must have been 50 then. I wasn't sure. I read that as he was 51, but didn't want to say. But yeah. And that's everyone. So, yes. So, Matt, it's been a little while since we've had you on. What have you been up to recently?
Not a lot. So I'm doing an experiment. I don't know if that's a good thing or not, but so I decided for one reason or another, I'm sticking all this trace elements. I'm doing 2 cocktails, plus I'm doing my 2-part. So I'm doing my cocktails with all the traces in from an ICP, and I'm thinking, I wonder if, and I've got a few gonnies that had the hump, and I was like, they're gonnies, but let's try something different. I'm now on week 3 of no water changes. So
okay.
This experiment is totally on this gonny to just see if it made a difference. I can confirm it's made no difference. So the gonny is still pissed off. So I'm going to go back to water changes. I didn't plan to come away from it. It was just an experiment to see if maybe leaving the tank alone for 3 weeks would make a difference. It hasn't. All I've done is clean the glass and feed the fish. I have been testing every week, and actually the levels have been absolutely bang on. Everything that I would test is solid. So,
okay.
What's your normal water change schedule?
My water change schedule is, so my tank is 350 litres, and I change how many? I don't know. We're now talking gallons.
Yeah, I'll do that calculation while you're talking.
Yeah, you're gonna need to pull up a converter for me anyway.
So it's 325 liters, and I'm doing 25 liters per water change. So
How often?
Every week.
85 gallons.
And how much does the water change, Steve?
What do you do? Sorry.
25.
That is 6 gallons. 7.
Just
nearly 7.
Yeah. So under the 10%, but the reason I do it is obviously dilution of obviously anything bad in there and to keep down the nutrients. But I've started dosing turning into no water change as well. I've been dosing lanthanum to obviously control phosphate. Nitrates are sort of stable. I just thought to myself, I wonder if it's just an instability that maybe was causing like me going in the tank, kicking up everything, chucking new water in, different change of temperature, well overthinking it. So I decided I'd abandon water changes and just test for a bit. And it's made absolute... Uh-oh. Am I still there?
Yeah, you've frozen, but we can still hear you.
Back.
Your voice is there.
So I don't know what happens to my camera. I've got give me 5 seconds. So I am currently 3 weeks in, made absolutely no difference. I don't know what's going on with my camera, but I will come back to you. And I've now done an ICP on the tank. Normally I use elements because it's obviously fast. I used an ATI because it was sitting in the cupboard and it was free. I then transferred the readings of what they're reading my tank over to the ICP to pretty much compare what I've got. And the ICP was really good. The only thing that was slightly high was aluminium, which was 11. So potentially ICP has done me good by highlighting there could be an issue. Obviously now I need to track where that issue is. So I'm now digging around thinking, oh my God, here we go again. So I'm wondering, last time I had this, it was a Nero 3 that failed. It took a while to fail. So I'm now wondering whether I just order one. So when we go to the show next month, I've just got one sitting on the shelf. I take it. And then when it does go bang, or I just replace it anyway and remove that problem.
Tempted with something different?
I am tempted with something different. So I actually won a DD equivalent at the Mansfield meet. That's sitting at the back of the tank, pushing flow across the back. Seems good. The only thing I don't like about it is it doesn't have an app. And I don't use the app, but I don't like to have to always use the controller. So then I'm having a controller land on the floor, and I'm like, oh, I've got to press the controller, whereas I don't really use the app very often. But when you do, it's quite handy, isn't it? Feed mode.
Yeah.
So I don't know what else to do if I changed. I've obviously got a gyro in there as well. So I've got a gyro, 2 Nero 3s, and then I've got a DD, which is equivalent to, I think, the Nero 5. So there's loads of flow in there, but I like the sleek look. I don't think I need something like an MB40, so I don't need that power. Yeah. So I'm not really sure. So I'm open to ideas, but they've lasted 2 years, so
yeah,
I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's a pain, isn't it? Because it's nice to have the app,
yes.
But those Neros do have a bit of a tendency to fail.
Yeah, well, I checked the one that is good, and the wire is starting to become stiff, and I'm like, and I looked around where the wire goes into the unit, and there's a little bit of wiggle room, and I'm like, okay. And what I found last time is there was like a white pasty look. So when I took the impeller off and turned the impeller over, there was some white pasty stuff. I cleaned it last weekend. I'm going to clean it this weekend, and if it is, I'm guessing that's where the issue is. I will probably just order a new one and replace it, not take the risk. So yeah, that is me. Otherwise, I'm looking forward to obviously meeting up, and I'm running out of room. So I'm now becoming very particular on what goes in. And I'm going to
Go on.
Go on.
I was going to say, it sounds like tank upgrade time.
It's been discussed. However, not yet. I'm thinking the tank's 3 years old. I'm thinking another couple of years.
Okay.
My dream is not my dream, but my aim is to get this grown out. I have an idea of a 5-6 foot more deeper tank on my other wall of my lounge. I would like to change my lounge around, so I would like to buy the upgrade, get it seeded, and then frag loads of colonies over to the new tank once the tank's ready, and I don't have to rush it. I don't like the idea of putting my new tank where the tank is and then stressing myself out.
Yes.
So,
yeah, definitely.
So if I can change the lounge, I'm thinking 18 months, and then I'm looking at what I'm actually waiting to see some of these new tanks that are coming out on the market, this UNS, what that's going to be like, and so I'm not rushing.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Right, leave it with me. I could be back. I might go because I need to sort this camera out.
Okay. So I'll just start with saying good evening, Dan. So Dan was on with me and you last time, Mike. So
yeah,
Dan's in the audience. Good evening, Dan. And Liam asked me about the water clarity in the tank. I haven't really done anything. In fact, if I move that camera, you can see the containers down there ready for a water change. I didn't get round to doing it at the weekend, so I'm overdue a water change. But yeah, it's looking nice and clear. I'm really happy with how it's going at the moment. Who else did I see? Daz is with us as well. Good evening, Daz. Hope you're doing well. He said ads are on. Now, everyone who's listening, please let me know if an ad comes on that interrupts the live stream, because I get that there's always one at the beginning, but I haven't turned them on. So I don't, because in Reef Dork stream the other day, every few minutes an ad would come on and it would mute the live stream and it would completely obscure one of the panel. Yeah, I don't want to be doing that. So let me know if that happens in this stream. Not that I'll be able to fix it this time round, but I can look into what's causing it. And good evening, Ron.
Ronald. Hope
you're doing well. So what have I been up to this week? Let me get my list up. I was sitting in here, I think it was at the weekend. Yeah, it was probably at the weekend. I was sitting at my desk here and I just thought, I'm just going to tidy up this cabinet here. Just have a tidy up, just get rid of some of the old crap that I was hoarding. I don't know what made me think of it. And like 3 minutes in, I looked down and I thought,
boredom.
Why is there a little puddle on the floor? That's not right.
Oh, God.
So then I took the plant down, I took the air purifier down, took the mini fridge off the side, leant over the back, and there's a puddle at the back of my tank. And it's I've got a Reef can behind there, 40-litre Reef can, and it's fed from my RO machine in the garage, and I was filling it up. And it had got to the top, the float valve hadn't shut it off, and it carried on filling. And I was like, no. So then pulled everything out, put towels down. Luckily, I'd caught it really early.
You're lucky, yeah.
And then I thought, right, that's it. I was using like a really unusual linear valve because I'd got the pump in the wrong bay of the Reef can, so that it was in the angled hole rather than the straight one, which meant that the float valve was in the straight one, not the angled one, so that I couldn't use an angular float valve. I had to use a linear one. I thought, I've got a angular float valve in the garage. I'll just put that on. Problem solved. Bit of a pain in the neck that it all happened, but can fix it. Put that in. I thought, I'm just going to watch it to make sure it shuts off. Didn't shut off.
Oh,
because the angular one, it before it got high enough to shut the water off, it hit the body of the Reef can. So I was like, oh, okay, right. I'll turn the RO machine off, and I've now ordered this one, which works that way up. So I can, and this one, I can angle that all the way down so that it doesn't have to move very far. So I'm hoping I can fit that and solve my problems, because I don't always leave the RODI machine on, but I like the fact that I can leave it on for a few hours or overnight and know that it's just going to stop when it gets to the end. And then the following day, I don't forget it, because I have my little sign that I sit in the doorway. Because I have forgotten it before, but I have that little sign that I sit in the doorway, and that reminds me. So then the next day I'll come in and turn it off, or a few hours later when it's definitely done, I'll go and turn it off. But yeah, that wasn't a good start.
Very, very lucky though, because if you didn't do all that pulling the cupboard out, that puddle would have been a lot bigger, and that tank would have been sitting in. Well, your frame's fine, but your doors and wouldn't like water. Yeah,
exactly. And I don't know what it was that made me suddenly think I'm going to clean that cupboard out, but something did, and it definitely saved me. Good morning, Melinda. So what else have I been up to? I've been building a new rockscape. So when I built the rockscape for this tank, I built this side, and I used the real Reef arches to make like a tripod. And then I've got a branch that extends up from the tripod as well, and I've got all coral on it. But I like the tripod design because it's given the fish lots of swim through space. On the other side, so on this side of the tank, I didn't have enough arches to make a similar one. So I tried to copy the idea. I've got a big cave, got a plated part out here, and then I've got another bit that extends up there. But the whole time I've been thinking, I really want to make another tripod like that side. So I ordered a box of real Reef rock, and I spent a bit of time in the garage, and I have now made a tripod for the other side. And it looks horrific until it's got a bit of aging to it, and some coralline growing on it. But
so you're taking that whole rockscape out and then just putting the corals on the rock?
Yeah. So I'm going to take on this side, I'm going to take the corals off, lift the whole thing out, put that one in, and then reattach the corals to it.
Well, you're worried about an ugly stage?
I didn't get too bad an ugly stage anyway when I did the tank. I don't know. It'll be what it'll be, but I really wanted that swim through for the fish. So right, next one, Coral Beauty. So I added a Coral Beauty, didn't I? It's been very well behaved. Ooh. Or has it? Oh. I keep finding my toadstool looking like this.
Oh no.
And it's weird because, like,
is that a little
2
piece
hours
of it hanging off?
It is, yeah. There's a bit hanging here,
hanging in the slime,
and there's a few bits that look like bite marks in it.
That's a weeping willow as well, isn't it?
Well, it's not a traditional weeping willow, is it? But it's a very nice toadstool. Well, like, oh no, it's all still retracted. But in a few hours' time, if the lights weren't going down, that would come back out again, and it would be fine. Right in front of that is an amazeballs gonny. So I'd rather it took bites out of that than out of the amazeballs. But it would be better still if it didn't bite anything. And I don't know if it's the Coral Beauty, because this happened before I got the Coral Beauty. So there's definitely something else in that tank biting it. But Yeah, don't
Well,
know.
and the problem is angels will go after stuff that's stressed, right? So it's kind of just makes it even worse, right? Like
Yeah,
maybe the coral beauty would leave it alone, but something stressed it, and then now the coral beauty's going after it when it wouldn't have in the first place, right?
yeah, yeah. So watch. I'm just gonna keep an eye on it and see what happens. Yeah.
You're gonna have to set a camera up, aren't you? Just
Yes. Well, I've got a camera, but I don't know whether it's not recording 24/7. I don't
Yeah,
think
you
so.
can't just sit there and watch it all day.
No.
just need to buy a cheap camera and let it run.
And it could. Yeah, Liam's right. It could be worse. It could be could be like Jamie's Achilles that he got from Rob, where it's eating his silicon. That's not so good.
I don't know. Oh! I thought
Yeah.
it was me. I thought it was me. Then I was like, oh god, my camera's died, and I'm looking at it going, what have I done? It's not me.
Yeah, I don't know what's. I don't. Are you still there, Mike? Oh,
What's
he
going on?
unmute. He muted and unmuted, but
What's going
we've
on?
lost your video and we can't hear you.
Yeah, I would set up a camera and just.
Yeah. Well, I do have a camera, and I think I can probably get the camera up here.
The problem is with like a lot of motion cameras is just setting it up, isn't it? And
Yeah.
they only go with motion. Yeah.
So I have one.
Have you gone back and just looked to see if you can see anything?
No. No, I it's only been the last few days that I've noticed it looking really pissed off. So I'll have to go back and look at it.
You are. He's back.
He is.
Oh.
And one of the other things that I did is I put some copepods in the garden in a bucket or in a container with a lid, not a bucket.
Yeah.
They're still alive.
Are they?
Yep. Yeah, and this is just, I just siphoned a load of crap out the bottom of the tank and dumped it in the bucket with a load of dirty tank water. So they had something to eat.
What is the plan with this experiment?
Well, I regularly go to the LFS and buy pods. So
right, okay.
if I can just grow them in the garden, then that's going to be a lot cheaper.
So you're taking a scoop out every so often?
Well, not yet. So I'm leaving them to try and build the population up a little bit more. Okay. And then so Ryan was saying, did I put phyto in? I did put a bit of phyto in. It wasn't like live phyto. It was the Reef nutrition stuff. Phyto feast. So I've put a few drops of that in. Yeah, I don't know. And as you can see, it's old tank water. And I think if I start the video again, yeah, there, you can actually see bits of bristleworm in there that I'd managed to siphon up out of the sump.
Jesus, that thing scared me.
Yeah, well,
I think live phyto would be a good idea, though.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. When I built this, that rock at the front there was a rock that was tucked in the sump, and I took it out of the tank and I put it in the garage ready to do this. Sat in the garage for a few days, and then when I went to do the work, I looked at it and there was a bristleworm on the rock. So yeah, I didn't touch it when I picked it up, but it was definitely there.
I'd definitely think about adding some phyto every so often, just to keep it boosting. Like Mike said, it's a good idea. Because that stuff is that stuff dead?
I think so. Yeah, I've had it for probably the best part of a year.
But it's like it's got the benefits of phyto, but it's not live phyto as such.
Yeah. And I think that's the point of setting it up in the garden, so it's not in direct sunlight, but it does get daylight, so that
Yeah.
should introduce algae growth in there that the pods can feed off. So yeah,
Okay.
I don't know.
Interesting.
What about you, Mike? What have you been up to recently?
Uh-oh. Oh dear.
Oh, I love it.
Just about when you just wanted to ask. Oh, it's back again.
Can you hear us, Mike?
Yeah, my audio twice now has just gone out. I don't know what's going on.
I think it's a StreamYard thing. They're having lots of issues. So, yeah. So I was just saying, what have you been up to recently?
Yeah, so I am working on kind of scaling up some things on the back end of the system. So after I've been plumbing in more frag tanks, as plumbing in more frag tanks, right? But I'm up to 3 now, and I think it's time to just kind of consolidate. And I'm kind of straddling this line between like I still am like, oh, I'm just a hobbyist, but like my garage kind of says otherwise, right? And I sell coral at the local shows and online and stuff, and so I'm at this point where it's kind of like, all right, like do this or don't, right? And
Yeah.
so I'm looking at kind of getting a one big frag tank in the back to kind of consolidate, give me a little bit more space, and at the same time, one tank that has more space than 3 little tanks. And then maybe like give a little bit more room to like quarantine fish and stuff like that. So this is one of those times when like giving me a project to do back there means I leave the tank alone, and the tank's going to do really well because I'm ignoring it. Um, but yeah, so I'm trying to figure out. I've got a bunch of like temporary tanks plumbed in on the floor right now because I've got 3 full frag tanks. So I got to like move all the frags from those tanks into the tanks on the floor, and then take down these other racks, and then move another tank in. So I mean, it's all just made up stuff to keep me busy, though, right? I mean,
Yeah.
So when you say one tank, are we thinking like 10 foot? Are we thinking 7 foot?
it's
How big are we thinking?
I'm actually just messaging with the guy to buy it from him. Like, this isn't a sure thing, but I'm supposed to be buying it from him. But the one that I'm trying to get is 8 feet by 2.5 feet
Right,
by
okay.
16 inches. The thing, what I kind of was wanting was like a rack of maybe like 4 foot by 2 foot tanks. But I'm not interested in the low boys. Like 10 inches of height is just not enough. First of all, acros grow up, and I'm always like taking out entire colonies of stags and trimming branches. Like sometimes I need to house a tall colony, right? And I also don't like looking from the top. I like looking from the front, and a really shallow tank doesn't let you view from the front panel very well. With acros, I mean, in my opinion, if you can see through the top of the water, you don't have enough flow. So um,
Yeah.
I'm not going to, I don't need that paradigm of a frag tank that's shallow that you look in from the top. It like just isn't what I'm looking for. But
And is this plumbed into that tank behind you?
yeah, all my stuff's plumbed together. Yeah, it's because at that point, like I only take care of one body of water, right? So it's no
Yeah.
harder. If you plumb in another frag tank, it doesn't really add anything. It doesn't make my life any harder, right? I just slap it onto the system and keep rolling, right?
Yeah.
If
And
I'm
it's the
maintaining
same.
this water, I might as well put that water to use in the
Yeah.
other tank too. So
Yeah. And it's this for the corals that you frag. They're going into exactly the same water that
yeah,
they came
that's
from
it.
as well.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. Good luck with the new.
Yeah.
Are we calling it a
sounds-
business? Are we calling it a business yet? Or
Yeah, I am reluctantly. It's funny, like I feel like I've been bamboozled into this, like I'm just a guy with a fish tank, right? But the thing is, like, the corals grow, you got to do something with them. And if you're good at this, they grow a lot, and I tend to let my corals get really big before I cut them. So, I've got a stag the size of a basketball, and when I cut it, I make 30 frags of the same coral.
Yeah.
I'm not making one or two frags here or there. I need to trim every single one of those branches, right? Um, and so, I end up with a coral that I need to get rid of a lot of, and I've saturated the local market. So now I need to like drive to a place 2 hours away to sell corals. And then if I'm selling online, people aren't going to buy just one or two pieces. You need to be able to put together an order and make shipping worth it, which means now I need to try to keep a large variety of stuff in stock. And then now I've
Yeah.
just been like tricked into running an aquaculture facility in my garage, which was never my intention, but here
And
I am.
are you buying stuff on purpose now for your tank to sell, or for the farm?
I've just started doing that in like the past 2 weeks. So I mean, again, I keep almost exclusively SPS. The other stuff I lovingly refer to as angelfish food. So acans, chalice, zoes, like they'll all be gone by the end of the day, right? But I think again, like getting back to kind of like the online paradigm, there's the number of people who are interested in buying, 10 acros is relatively small compared to the number of people who would be interested in buying 2 to 3 acros, an acan, some zoes, some diversity like that. So, I
Yeah.
mean, to be honest, this is all just like in the goal of getting rid of my extra frags. But if I can, expand what I offer, and if that helps me get rid of the stuff that I'm really trying to get rid of, then, so be it. I think a lot of people, I've literally heard the feedback, I sell at some local shows and frag swaps and stuff. And, I think people literally just see a tank full of acros and they just get scared and keep walking. Right. So I think, I'm not going to grow that stuff in here. Like I said, it's angelfish food, but, if I can culture some of that other stuff. The one thing I'm not interested in is torches. Plenty of people growing and selling torches. They're a pain in the ass, excuse me. And I don't need to do torches. I'll leave that to other people. But
Yeah.
Sounds like a shop.
Yeah.
Yeah, reluctantly.
I like it. Committed.
I mean, it's fun though. Yeah, I mean, it gives me an excuse to like buy a bunch of coral, and then like I don't have to keep it. You know what I mean? It's fun buying coral, even if you're gonna like sell it to somebody else. It's still exciting. It still scratches that itch to buy coral, and then I can just turn around and sell it. And then I didn't,
And I guess you're quite full in your display, so room is limited. So actually, this does scratch the I want a new coral now.
Yeah. I mean, I've already got I've said. When I have space in my tank, I just go shopping in my frag tanks, because for the last
Yeah.
like 2 years, every coral I bought, it's just waiting in the frag tank. I mean, I just have a queue of corals in the frag tank for if I ever get some space in here, I've already got some stuff to move over, which works because then by the time I'm ready to move it over, it's already like a mini colony, because if I mount a little stick in here, one little branch, it's going to get overgrown in 6 months, right? So I just I go shopping in my frag tank anytime I want to put something in here.
And the frag tanks are the same lights, so the same water, so the same lights as well?
Not exactly, but I mean, the backbone of it, right? I've got T5s and LEDs over this tank, and I've got T5s and LEDs over the other tanks. I think it's close enough.
Yeah. Ideal then.
So at what point did you realize that this had gone beyond a hobby and was now an obsession?
I don't know, because it's like the frog in the boiling pot of water, right? Like, I mean, it's just slowly. I've been doing this for 22 years or something like that, right? I mean, I had those moments 10 years ago when I was like, whoa, like what have I gotten myself into? And that was way before any of this. I think the first time I had that was when I cut a hole in my wall and redid the framing of my house for my aquarium. That's the first like, okay, this is not normal moment,
Yeah.
right? But I mean, that was a while ago. I've come a long way since then. But I mean, I think it's just like once I started shipping coral to, that's like, I mean, I've just literally, I've got so much of this blue stag that everyone in my area who possibly wants a blue stag already has it. You know what I mean? My only other option is I just start throwing it away. you know,
Yeah.
and I don't want to do that. So but the shipping the coral. I mean, by the time still business isn't the right word because by the time you factor in my time, this is basically community service, right? Like I make a little bit of money, but not. I mean, not enough. Not enough to call it making money, even really, right? I mean, shipping costs so much money. I charge less money for shipping than it actually costs me. So, um, it's really more about just I'm just trying to get rid of this coral.
What's kept you going for 22 years in the hobby? Is it you've increased what you keep? Is it you just played with different things, different
Yeah, I
experiments?
mean, there have definitely been like different levels of involvement, right? I mean, and the hobby was very different 22 years ago. There's a time like in my last like 2 years of college, I got rid of all my coral, and that was like a breath of fresh air. Like, that just wasn't my focus in my life at the time, but I still had a 180-gallon tank. But it's much easier to keep the fish and not worry about the coral, when you don't, when you've got that kind of like instability in your life or whatever. But I don't know. It's always been, this has kind of always been my thing. I majored in marine biology. I've, had the fish tank since I've had this fish tank since high school. Not this fish tank, but, saltwater reefs. I've had freshwater before that. So I don't know. It's kind of always been there. I
I
mean,
guess
you need something to do with all your time and money, right?
yeah. I guess now it's angelfish and high end acros is the itch which is keeping you going.
Yeah, I mean, it's always like kind of the next level in the challenge, right?
So where do
And
you go
it
from
took me a while
here?
to get here.
Yeah, yeah.
My tank
Yeah.
hasn't looked like this for the last 20 years. I'll say that.
No, but the challenge then is you've got angelfish and high end acro now. Where do you go next?
Yeah, I mean, I
Shop.
don't know.
He's going for
Bigger.
a
I mean,
shop.
that's why I'm doing this system in the back, right? I mean, it's keeping me busy,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I mean that I've thought about. I don't have plans, but I have thoughts about an upgrade to this display system. But I'm working on the back end so that scratches that itch, right? I
Yeah.
think I can get a few more years out of this tank if I keep myself busy in the garage for a couple years, and then I'll be back to looking to tinker with this, I think. But
Does the partner get it, or does the partner go?
oh yeah, no, she's
Is
she's been there the whole time. We met and started dating in middle school in 8th grade, so
Wow.
she's
so
been there
she
the whole time from the beginning. I always tell people she's the one that when we bought this house, she and the contractor were here and talking about stuff, and then it was their idea to put the tank in the wall, plumb it down into the crawl space, run the pipes under the house, and then have all the equipment out in the garage. So that
okay.
was that wasn't even I didn't even have to pitch that one. So
Okay. That's what we need. What
and
you
she
need.
knew what she was getting into 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Good evening, Tony.
Tony,
Um,
is it all one sump? Rama asked. I'm guessing it
Yeah,
is.
yeah, it's one system. So the tank. I mean, I can walk around and show you guys too, but the tank, goes down. There's no water in the stand. It's pipes that go straight down into the crawl space under the house, out to the garage. In the garage, I've got the sump, water
wow.
change station, and 3 frag tanks, and then I've got like quarantine tanks. Obviously, are not tied into the system. I've got a refugium section in the sump, and then I've also got an external refugium as well. In
What's
addition to
the water volume like?
400 gallons. So you're gonna have to do your little conversion on the side there.
1,514 litres.
Okay, that's not.
I might actually know that. I think my ICP place makes me put it in liters. That number sounded familiar once you said that.
Yeah. 1,514.16 litres.
And how much are you dosing to that? A huge amount? I'm guessing it's a huge amount.
A lot, yeah. I struggle to answer this, so I make my own calcium and alkalinity supplements, right? This is like an old school thing that people used to do. So, I buy calcium chloride pellets off of Amazon. I use Arm & Hammer baking soda for a portion of the alkalinity, and I use lye or sodium hydroxide for another portion of the alkalinity. So I dose the lye-based supplement during the times of day when pH is naturally falling, because that boosts pH significantly. And then I dose the baking soda-based portion during the times of day when the pH is rising. That boosts pH a little, but not much compared to the hydroxide. Um, I don't follow like a recipe. I basically just put like as much of those as will fit into solution because otherwise I would be mixing those up like every week.
Yeah.
And so I think I've done the math, and I think it's about 4 times as strong as what you would like buy like a 2-part or a 3-part balling off the shelf. And I'm adding several hundred milliliters a day of that.
No wonder why you're DIY.
I think I would go through like a liter a day of like off the shelf 2-part.
No wonder why you are DIY, and I don't blame you. Obviously, Steve.
I mean, that's the only thing that's the only way I could afford it for sure. I mean,
Yeah.
it would be very expensive to dose this. Any other way.
Good evening, Puneet. He's asking what traces. Oh, sorry. Good afternoon, Puneet. What traces do you dose this?
Yeah, so I'm going to give you 2 answers to this. My short answer is nothing. I do regular partial water changes with instant ocean salt, and everything does fine. I think that traces are a concern if you're trying to not do water changes, or if there's something specific that you're trying to like troubleshoot or know is a deficiency or something like that. So, I don't consider dosing traces a part of my husbandry, right? I don't dose any holistic trace element solution. So the second part of this answer is there are a few things that I'm dosing right now, but I don't start off with this because I don't think it's like a secret to success, or I don't really think it has any impact on the tank at all, if I'm being honest. Occasionally I'll do an ICP every couple months, and if something comes back low, I'll dose whatever comes back low. I think right now it's like fluoride and maybe strontium or something like that. I don't know. But I also dose an extremely small. Like I'm putting in like 1 to 2 drops a day.
Are you doing it manually, or is the doser doing it?
Yeah, I'm doing it manually. And I'm only doing that because everything else is going well and I'm bored and I'm looking for stuff to tinker with, right? Like I think that people of doing other things, like if you have literally any other problems, you should worry about those first, in my opinion, right? So I mean, there have been times when I didn't test or dose traces for years, and the acros were literally growing out of the surface of the water and didn't care, right? So my short answer is I do dose a couple of individual elements here and there in extremely low doses, and I don't think it makes a difference.
Okay.
What about... Go on, Steve.
Is your one linked to doses? Because my one isn't. If your one's linked to dosing, then okay.
No, mine's about feeding coral.
Say that again.
Okay. So my question is, what's been the most ridiculous purchase you've ever justified to yourself for your tank?
I haven't purchased it yet, but I transferred the money. I'm getting ready to. I think I'm going to put a mini split in the garage. So a through the wall AC unit in the garage.
Okay.
In my last house, I bought a insulated garage. I bought a whole new garage door. I bought an insulated garage door because the tank was also in the garage. I bought a window AC unit and cut a hole in the wall and shoved a window AC unit in the wall and then bought a new garage door at my last house. This house has been limping along with no control over the garage. But as I'm upsizing things in the garage, I think it's time to kind of bite that bullet. And to me, like, I guess you can see a common theme of like cutting holes in your house is like that's like the line, I think.
Yeah.
Like cutting holes in the interior walls is like stage one, and then cutting holes in the exterior walls is pretty significant too.
Yeah.
Which
Full
I've done.
insanity.
I've done all of the above. I've cut holes in the floor. I've gone through the crawl space. I've cut holes in the brick of the foundation to get from the crawl space in there. So I don't know.
I'm thinking of buying an aircon machine, but cutting a hole in the wall scares the hell out of me.
Does it?
Yeah.
It's $500 or $1,000, or even honestly, I rarely spend $100 on a coral, right? I'm cheap with individual livestock and corals and stuff. Most of my equipment's pretty standard, and I've built it up over the years. I mean, this skimmer that I have right now, I bought used in 2009. So, I mean, I've been building this system for 20 years, right?
Nice.
Yeah.
Reliable.
I've changed the pump a couple times, but the skimmer body is just an acrylic tube, right? I mean,
Yeah.
no
Yeah.
reason to
No
no reason to swap it out.
Oh, good. Totally get it. So do you feed coral, or do you just
Nope.
feed tank? Just feed
Yep.
tank.
Yeah, I think acros in particular, I don't think they need it. I think there's some data to show that they're not going to even eat stuff that's in like the copepod zooplankton range. I think that if they do eat, it's probably more like bacterioplankton. So if I were to feed my corals, I think I'd do it more like in the zeovit reactor, where you shake the mulm out of it, the bacteria mulm, or you know, but I don't think it's needed. I mean, that's what you pay all that money for those lights for, right? And I think
Yeah.
I'm not. It's also not to say that there are. I'm sure that there are some LPS that get benefit out of it, right? But again, kind of like the trace element thing, I think the corals don't generally need it. And I think the problem is that a lot of people feed their corals at the expense of the stability of their water chemistry. So if you're able to feed your corals and maintain stable, acceptable nutrients, then go for it. But I don't think most people do that, right? Most people don't do it on any sort of schedule. Like feeding the fish, you do it every day. You've got the same, you eventually settle into this groove of nutrient import, nutrient export, right? I mean, I think that's a lot of what makes a mature tank, is not just the maturity of the tank, but the maturity of your maintenance routine and things like that. And when people feed corals, they tend to do it sporadically, like once a week, right? So you figure once a week, you've got all this extra nutrients going into the tank, but your nutrient removal doesn't change, right, day to day. So I think that people think they need to feed the corals, and if you're not careful, you can, create more problems than you solve with it.
Your food that you feed your fish, is that homemade as well, or are you buying off the shelf?
No, I used to do it homemade, and that was one of the things that one day I was like, you know what, like this sucks, and I make enough money to just not do this anymore. I made my own fish food when I was in college. I would just go to the store and get like frozen shrimp, and then run it over a cheese grater, and it would end up with the perfect little sizes, right? But I feed a lot of different stuff. So I feed this tank every 2 hours throughout the entire day. And I have pellets that are on an auto feeder that goes off 3 times a day. So that's just a mix of like 3 different kinds of pellets. I have the Avast plank, which feeds freeze-dried food. And it has a little chamber that it has a pump there, so it rehydrates the food before it goes back into the tank. And that's like mysis, and I put some Calanus copepods in there, but normally I don't feed anything that small. And then I feed frozen. I have an automatic frozen feeder that goes off once a day, and then I feed frozen manually about another 2 times a day. And that's just a mix of like, I used a couple different like chopped seafood blends that are commercially available, and mysis and brine.
Okay.
Interesting. We've got some questions in the chat and some people turned up. So good evening, Ty. Hope you're doing well. Helmo. Hope you're doing well this evening. We're looking forward to your tank tour. Rama asks, what fish have you got in your frag tanks?
Yeah, so in one frag tank, I have no fish. In one frag tank, I have a damsel just because she's pretty and I wanted to have a fish. I wanted to have a little damsel in there. And the other one are actual utilitarian fish. I have a small Tamini tang and a bicolored blenny. That was
Nice.
specifically because the way I set up the system, I have a refugium up top, and that drains down into this frag tank. And lesson learned, I put some ulva in that top tank, and then the ulva made it down into the frag tank. And so I had some ulva pop up in the frag tank. So I needed some kind of algae munching in there. I'll say the blenny, I think, was probably a mistake because if I don't feed it at the corals a little bit.
Okay.
Which to me, the whole point was I put you in there so that you would eat the algae, but now I have to feed him because he'll eat the coral if I don't feed him. So that kind of defeats the purpose. But with the bigger tank, I mean, I'm kind of excited with the bigger frag tank too. Is no wrasses, but I do have I've got a 6-line in quarantine that I'm going to be putting in when I consolidate the frag tanks. I'm going to put a 6-line. I don't do sand in the quarantine tanks, or sorry, in the frag tanks, so that eliminates like I don't know half of your wrasses, right? And but yeah, I mean a 6-line is good for pest control or whatever. So I intend to have a wrasse in there. Yeah.
Yeah. I would like to get. I wish they had like a micro tang, because I've got the frag tank here. This is the S850, so it's got a frag tank in the sump. I would love to have a tang in there to keep the algae at bay.
I mean, even this, it's only a 40-gallon breeder, right? It's a 3-foot tank, so it's too small for a tang. But I got a Tamini tang it's only like that. I think it's less than 2 inches, and I figured he'd be okay for a year or two, and then I'd either get a bigger frag tank or get rid of him. And here I am. He'll be happy to have 8 feet.
Thank you.
To be honest, in the back of my mind, I also have this as a backup plan for my Achilles. I mean, this display is only 6 feet. That Achilles grew fast, and I mean, if I could snap my fingers and give him more room, I would. I think he needs more than 6 feet. So I could foresee a situation in a year or two where the Achilles ends up in the frag tank until I'm able to upgrade this tank to something even bigger than that. If that happens.
So we did have a couple more questions. I have one here. Do you have any SPS coral placement regrets?
Well, I mean, I don't necessarily view it as a regret, because if I don't like it, I just change it, right? I mean, I'm not scared to just go in there and move stuff. I do that all the time. But yes, I mean, I think that a lot of people put frags around without much thought or knowledge into the shape that they'll eventually be. And so I definitely did that when I put a bunch of frags in, and then fast forward 2 years, I've got a bunch of tables at the top of the tank that are shading everything out below them, right? If you have a table up here, you can't put anything under it. So about like a year and a half ago, I definitely had to do this exercise of moving all the tables down and moving things around. But yeah, I mean, largely it's really hard because the corals grow, and so it's like a piece of art that's always changing, right? So you can't place all your corals and then like hit pause. You know what I mean? So even if they're in the right spot now, it's going to be different in 6 to 12 months, right? So, I mean, even to achieve like a natural look, you really need to put a lot of thought into placement. And I just move stuff. I mean, if it's a table and it's too high and I want to see it a little bit better, I can move it down. Certain things, I've got a master yoga over here, and this is also just kind of funny because you just never know what they're going to do, right? Like you put them somewhere and you've got a plan, but like this coral right here, it had some space above it, and I thought it was just going to go up, but it just went sideways. So I put it right here thinking it was going to fill this space, and instead it just literally grew sideways. So I've got a little gap under there now. I can't put anything in this spot because this coral decided to go sideways, right? So I mean, but that's fine. You just got to move it.
Yeah,
It's very full.
it is. Yeah, it looks lovely.
There's not much room in there, Mike.
No, there's not.
So David asks, who looks after the tank when you go on vacation?
Yeah. I mean, the short answer is the apex, right? I've got a lot of automation. I've got a little camera over there. I've got a camera mounted directly against the side of the tank as well. So I can check the house cameras. I can check the apex. I'll tell you that last year, it was either last year or the year before, we had to go to a concert that was actually where we live halfway through vacation. So I left on vacation and I had an excuse to come home halfway through the week and then go back.
Nice.
And that actually, I like kind of complained about it, but it was so much easier leaving the tank knowing I was going to be back in 3 days and then leaving the tank again, knowing I was going to be back in 3 days.
Yeah.
But I've tried to put a lot of stuff in place for like alerts, notifications, redundancies, disaster proofing type stuff, right? So, but yeah, I mean, it's leaving the tank is always nerve wracking, right?
Yes.
And for some reason, like stuff happens. I left the tank for like 3 days. I don't know, a month ago, and like a coral died, and like I haven't killed a coral in a long time, and like I didn't do anything different than if I had been here, right? Like the tank shouldn't have even known I was gone, but somehow it does, So it's always weird that stuff happens. I mean, I've had a return pump fail while I was, 6 hours away. I've had like calcium deposits break off inside the pumps and get stuck in the pipes and clog the drains. Not in this system, but all that stuff is like stuff. So now I run 2 return pumps. I run 4 drains, so I learned from all that stuff, not to say that I've got all my bases covered, but over the years, I've tried to put a lot of stuff in place to make sure that, that at this point, it would have to be something pretty complicated that got me, because I've covered all my bases for the more common things.
Yeah.
That's experience and loss that's done that.
Yeah, I mean, over the last 20 years, every time I have an issue or a crash or even like a near miss, like something that almost happens, my rule is that I put something in place to make sure that can never happen again, right? Yeah. And so I've had all those crashes, and I've just slowly been, making sure, I've messed up enough times to hopefully get most of them out of the way.
Yeah. Oh, I have to say, actually, you very nearly caught me out with one of your Instagram posts. I didn't realise it was AI at first glance until I looked at it closer.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, somebody on like TikTok messaged me and was like, "What's the coral? What's the blue coral in the bottom corner?" And I was like, "That's none of this is real, man." But yeah, what's funny is like I'm a bit of a perfectionist about it, and so I spent like an hour and a half prompting ChatGPT with pictures of acros, being like, "No, it needs to look more like this." Like,
yeah,
it's out some. It needs to look more real. So I was, yeah.
Like it.
I maybe I could. I don't know.
Yeah.
It'd be hard, but maybe you could prune it. Maybe you could prune it in a certain way to get that. But.
I don't know.
Yeah, you need some kind of mold that you sit it in to force it to grow that way.
Yeah, or even
but
like
you'd have to still let
you
flow
might be able
through.
to grow it like this way so that it would curve towards the light. And then, you know what I mean? Like if you have it at this side, it would grow itself that way and then turn it you know, I don't know.
Yeah.
Easier to just ask ChatGPT to do it. But
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. So I've still got a few more questions, but I think we should probably take a closer look at your tank. But
yeah.
before we do that, I'm just going to go through some of the reefing news this week. I have now had it confirmed that Aqua is probably the biggest show we have in the UK. Aqua 2026 will not be happening. But there will, however, be an Aqua 2027 in September.
Okay.
So, good news, bad news. It's a bit disappointing that we're going to lose that momentum.
Yeah.
Because it was fairly new, so I think the momentum would help. And losing that is not gonna go down well, I don't think. But hopefully everyone will stick with it, and we'll make next year a success. I also saw Dr. Tim is being sued apparently for misappropriating funds from the American Cichlid Association when he was he treasurer there or something, and they're accusing him of funneling money away to start his own business up or something.
Oh, God.
Yes. And then some good news. Quality Marine have bred black tangs in captivity. So that's an interesting one to see. What's your thoughts on black tangs, Mike?
I mean, I like the gem more. Somebody just did a gem recently too, right?
Yes, they did. Who was that?
I don't
I'm trying to
remember.
think
I'm
who that
getting them
was.
mixed up now. But I mean, it's great that this has happened. That so much of this is happening that we can't keep it straight, right? I mean, 20 years
Yeah.
ago, it was clownfish, right? And then for a long time, it was like clownfish and like it's so amazing the last couple years that we've got like tangs and angelfish available aquaculture now is really, really awesome.
Yeah. I know.
Black tangs, I think when they get big, they look nice when they're small, but when they get big, I don't think they look as nice.
Yeah. Yeah, Rob has just picked the right time to tune into the show. Rob hates them. And as I was reading about this, I was like, it's a shame Rob isn't here because he would have got a kick out of this. And then there he is.
Why does he hate them?
I think hate's a bit of a strong word, but yeah, he says they just kind of you lose them on the black background and they're a bit boring.
Yeah.
But yeah, he said he literally just
that's
tuned
like
in.
Jet black and velvety, like the little ones are like nice, but when they're big, they're like washed out and they're like not. They're like a little mottled and like they look imperfect, which is like, all right, well, if you're gonna have like a perfect jet black, like at least that's kind of cool. But then the big ones are just like kind of muddy. I don't know.
I think in a peninsula would look quite cool. I like their long nose. I really like their long nose.
Yeah. I'm not going to judge them for looking a bit jaded and washed out as they get older, though. So,
yeah, maybe I'll forget. Maybe in another decade or so, I'll understand. I mean, with that said, I do have two tangs that are primarily black. So I don't hate the concept of a black tang.
I mean, your Achilles is stunning.
Yeah.
I love an Achilles tang.
And I bet, fish look a lot better under full spectrum light, right? So I'm sure that a black tang under very blue lights looks pretty bad. Yeah. But even like purples, people used to love the purple tangs. I still love a purple tang, but they look great under white light, but under blue light, they're really not worth their cost. They're really underwhelming, but I think purples are one of the best looking tangs, if you look at it under white light.
Yeah, that's why I really like these lights, because the white spectrum from them is really, really nice. And I've got a purple tang in there. Yeah, it does look lovely under the white lights.
It's crazy. I'm just watching that Achilles just shoot backwards and forwards and backwards.
I know. I mean, he doesn't he doesn't just pace. I think I am keeping a really close eye on him to make sure that he's not going insane and just pacing 24/7. But I mean, he can cross the tank in a half a twitch of a tail and he's there, and it's if I like turn off the pumps, he gets like pissed off and doesn't know what to do with no flow, and he'll just nose into the vortex when it's like at 100% and just like treadmill it. I mean, and he's out all the time. He doesn't sleep. He just like swims all the time. I mean, they are really, I've heard people say this about Achilles, and I really thought that like I didn't think it was an Achilles specific thing. I just thought any tang of that size would be that hyper. Um, but yeah, I mean, thankfully he's not a jerk, right? I mean, if he starts to get an attitude, it's over, right? But and I'm worried that could happen as he continues to get bigger and is in a comparatively smaller space. I'm worried he's going to snap one day. So
Yeah.
I'll have
So
that as a backup plan.
Rob, that commented about the black tangs in the chat, has just recently closed down a 13-foot long by 4 foot wide, 4 foot high, I think, 3 foot wide, 3 foot high tank that had an Achilles in it, and it he found a new home for it with another reefer that's pretty close by that we all know, and in his tank it was double based and the silicon was down quite low, and in this new tank that it's gone into, it's got quite a big chunk of silicon above the base. And the first thing this Achilles did when it went in was just starting to biting chunks out of the silicon. It's like, holy
That's
crap, you
weird.
could see the massive bite marks out of the silicon that it's taken.
That's weird. Yeah.
Yeah. So John was saying, does your one eat silicon?
No, not yet, but don't give him any ideas. But then again, I also feed the tank every 2 hours, so
Yeah.
I keep them fat. Yeah, I mean, a little story about the Achilles while we're on the topic. I put the Achilles and the powder blue in at the same time. It was about 2.5 years ago, and they were the size of the Chromis at that time when I put them in. Both of them were the same size, and I put them in at the same time. And really quickly, within about a year, the Achilles got almost this big. And the powder blue basically didn't grow at all in that time. And the Achilles has hated the powder blue since day one. I had for about 6 months, I had to on and off have a mirror up against the tank to distract the Achilles and give the powder blue a chance to recover for a week. And then I was off and on. But I think that was like a defense mechanism of the powder blue to like not look like competition. I think to reduce aggression. The Achilles decided it wanted to be in charge, and it grew big, fast, and the same amount. They have access to the same amount of food, but the powder blue. I think that when they're receiving aggression, I think there's probably some sort of like physiological mechanism to stunt growth and seem less threatening. And now they more or less get along.
Who is the boss? Who's the boss of the tank? The Achilles.
The Majestic.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So like, the Achilles wants to be the boss and like kind of likes to think he's the boss. But if anyone comes around the corner and the Majestic is there, they step aside. The Majestic is there, and you'll just hear him start grunting. I don't know if you know that that genus, they can do that like knock. It sounds like somebody's knocking on the wall. And I can just be like, oh, somebody pissed off the Majestic. Somebody cornered the Majestic, and he's like, I think maybe having him also helps kind of keep everyone in line. Like that may be the reason that the Achilles hasn't gone berserk, is just knowing that he's got at least one other fish above him in the hierarchy. The Majestic is not aggressive to anyone, but I think all the fish give him space and respect him.
Yeah,
and he's a big boy. He's almost eaten size.
Oh, brilliant. Other reefing news. Interzoo in Germany, Cologne, I think, is this weekend. Or is it this weekend, or does it start tomorrow? I think it might start tomorrow.
I thought it was. Is it open to trade currently?
I don't know whether it's ever open to anyone other than trade into Zoo.
Well, I think I've seen pictures of people there this week, so I wonder if it's.
Yeah, so I thought it started today. So the pictures we've seen might be of people
Okay.
setting up stalls or just kind of meeting up places. I thought it was the 14th that it was
You've
on.
seen,
But
yes, there's some snazzy products. I won't say anything unless you might be saying something about products in a minute.
no, I'm not saying anything about
See-
products. So
You see Red Sea releasing heaters and different line of products.
interesting because when it launched the reef control, I was expecting that announcement to be that they're doing heaters.
Yeah, they are now. So on AAC's, one of AAC's posted this week, so I think Connor's out there. But it's interesting because Ben was saying, and I think I saw it somewhere else, that reef control should be out. I think it was Reefer Palooza. There's a Reefer Palooza video, and they're now saying that reef control will be June.
Okay. Yeah, it's interesting because my Apex is just like a massive pain in the ass at the moment. So it would be amazing to swap it out for.
You're going to change. You're going to change.
I don't know. I mean, if they did a part exchange where you could ship your Apex, and I would be well up for that. My Apex has been nothing but drama.
Surely you'll lose controllability of what you want to do with your Apex. Is not going to be the same as what you can do with a Red Sea reef control, right?
I don't know. I mean, at the moment, the only thing the reef control doesn't do that I do with my Apex is the Trident, the water testing.
Do you have any fail safes? Like, so you do code your Apex to do fail safes for different things as well?
No. I've got alerts, and if I get an alert, I can trigger an action, but I don't have any automated actions. It's just been too unreliable. It's constantly giving incorrect readings or going wrong or stopping working completely until I can get home and tinker with it. I've had to take all of my pumps off of it and run them in Mobius because it was too unreliable.
Had any issues, Mike?
No, I try to not be an Apex fanboy because they've got I've got my fair share of complaints as I would with anything else, but knock on wood. I mean, my Apex, I rely on it heavily. It's integral to my system. I'll say that a lot of my hardware is kind of older. I have a suspicion that some of the newer stuff is what's less reliable. I purposefully buy up all of the old energy bars. The EB. I guess for you might only have the old style. I don't know, but they have the EB8 and then the EB832, and the EB832 is the fancy one with power monitoring and one link ports. Like, I don't care about that. I want it to work, right?
Yeah.
So the old ones are made out of metal and don't fail. The new ones have some known failure points and stuff like that. So I'm not going to say I've never had a problem with my Apex. I'm not going to say I've never had a problem with the modules, but it's certainly been a net positive for me for sure. Yeah. And I'm not denying that other people. I mean, I see people have issues all the time, and I think they're real. I do believe that other people have issues with them. I just I
had it the other week, and I can't think what went wrong for. It said it had dosed 18 litres of Tropic Marine A element with my DOS QD. And I thought, well, it hasn't dosed that much because the container only holds a litre. And the container was still half full. So I was like, my suspicion is it's either not working at all or it's dosing the normal amount. It's just reporting it completely wrong.
Right.
So I then start to look into it a little bit more. And then it looked like it was dosing 0.1 of a milliliter every second, which it wasn't doing either.
Right.
And it turned out that it was just not working at all. But in the process of trying to work that out, then all of a sudden it said, by the way, your display, because I've got a temperature sensor in the sump, and a temperature sensor in the display tank. And it said, oh, your sump's okay, but your display tank is at minus 17 degrees Celsius. I'm like, no, it isn't, because it's not
Right.
frozen.
Right. I mean, at least
And
it's wrong enough. At least both of those are so wrong that you know that they're wrong. Right.
Yes. Yeah, it's not like the salinity, which is always wrong by a small amount.
By a little bit, yeah. But
yeah.
so again, like on that theme, the Dose QD is a newer hardware, right? So I purposefully have two of the old doses. I don't care if they're loud; they're in the garage.
Yeah.
And I dose a little bit. I don't run them fast anyway. It's not that bad, right? That was a problem that didn't need to be fixed. And I saw some reports when the Dose QD came out. Even Andrew Sandler, who has that huge tank, I remember he had an issue with those doses kind of soon after they came out. I remember there was a thread on Reef to Reef about some problem that they had. So again, I think that falls into that theme of the kind of the newer hardware. I don't super trust some of the newer hardware.
Yeah. Yeah, I think all of my issues have been tied to Aquabus. They've all been in and around the Aquabus. My suspicion is because they're not really like designed for humidity.
Yeah.
I don't think they like that too much. So
yeah.
Interestingly, I was just looking at the Reef Control while you was there's some prices now for probes.
I'm sitting down, so
you need some of them. You need to. So the leak detector is 40 quid.
Yep.
The ground probe is 30 quid. Fair enough. That's not bad, is it? The temperature probe is 59. Then we go to the ORP. That's 119.
Yeah.
Then we go to the salinity and temperature probe. That's 200. And the salinity, the pH and temperature is 119.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that would put me off. However, they are digital and they're not analog. So hopefully it's the longevity and not changing it every 6 months. It's because it's fell out of calibration and won't hold. And they're digital probes. I don't know. We'll see. But I like the idea. I'm a bit like you, Steve. I like the idea. The only thing I'm put off is exactly the same reason you are. Is it built around their dosing solution, or is it going to be a universal?
Yeah.
When they release it, because they're going to release a tester. They're going to release something. Hopefully, it's universal and you can do it on anything.
Yeah, and I think that might be the point where we will wait, and then if they release a tester and it does more than calcium, brilliant. Let's buy the lot. But
imagine
they release a tester.
Imagine if it did all 5.
Yes.
Off the bat.
Yeah, that would be phenomenal, wouldn't it? And I think people are going that way. The Maven, if it ever comes, is going to do all 5, I think, isn't it? And the Mastertronic Essentials, is it? Mastertronic Essentials does 5. And with that, you can use other reagents as well. You don't have to use theirs, which was interesting.
Yeah, I thought it wasn't terrible.
Yeah, it'd be good to see what they do.
Yeah, it wasn't terrible prices, but it wasn't cheap prices. We'll see.
Yeah. And the last bit of my, actually not my last bit of my news. I have one more bit of news after this one. Love to Reef is now just over 5 weeks away. It's the 5th year of Love to Reef. Every year has sold out. So if you're sitting on the fence, you're thinking about going to Love to Reef, get your ticket in before you run out of time. Let's make this another massive year. All the profits go to Mind charity for mental health. Fantastic charity. So dig deep, buy your tickets, spend some money. It's only going to be the only show this year now. That's absolutely confirmed. So
exactly that. The only show, great charity. What more can you want?
Yeah. And my last news-related topic is Love to Reef. Not Love to Reef. I've just done Love to Reef. I suppose I was just deleting it from my list. Reefapalooza. Did you go, Mike?
No, I've never been to a big show. So what?
Wow.
Reefapalooza. What's the other one? There's another big
Macna?
one.
Macna?
Yeah, Macna is probably the one that I would have been interested in going to, but they don't do anymore. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, so kind of like what
Aquashella?
I was saying before is, I don't go. I'm not like I don't spend $1,000 on coral, right? Like, I'm cheap. I buy little frags from other reefers, auctions, whatever. Um, I don't really do the whole like torches under blues thing. You know what I mean? Like I'm like
Yeah.
so that cuts out like 80% of what's at a show is if if LPS is angelfish food, then there's not that much. But I mean, I want to go. It's on my list to go, but I don't know. At this point, I might go and be on the other side of the table. I go to more regional shows. I go to shows in our state. Sometimes as a buyer, sometimes as a seller. We had a couple shows this spring, but I'm just not sure that. I mean, how do you come back on an airplane? Like, what do? You buy your stuff and then you keep it in your hotel room, or I don't know. How do the logistics of that work? And then you bring it
Yeah.
home. I just feel like it's gonna die. I've bought acros at a show 2 hours away, and I've had them dead by the time I get home. It's not. How's it gonna get home if I gotta like spend the night in a hotel and then fly and all that? Maybe that works for zoos, but That's not gonna work with acros.
Yeah. At Aqua, there's Shamila and her husband Michael run a frag swap, and they have a coral hotel there as well. I don't know whether the coral hotel will be happening at Love to Reef, but Shamila and Michael will be doing a frag swap at Love to Reef. But because Aqua is over 2 days, they have like this coral hotel. So
Yeah.
if you buy a coral from one of the vendors, you can go and take it to them and put a little label on it, and it sits in a temperature controlled
Yeah.
chamber
Right.
it's only fresh water, but you seal the pot up and put it in, and it keeps it at that temperature for you,
Okay.
and then
Yeah.
you can go and
I
take
don't know.
it
I mean, I'm
when you're
less
done.
worried about temperature. I'm worried about like slime. Like a stag is gonna slime itself up and then kill itself in a little bag of water. I would want to
Yeah.
change the water every couple hours or whatever. But because I've gone to shows and I mean, I've put my corals in a cooler, driven them around all day, and sold them, and the water's like 68 degrees, and they're fine. They don't care. But
Yeah.
as they care if they start polluting and sliming up the water. So I don't
Yeah.
know. Yeah. But also, I don't know. I mean, I'm just not looking for very much at this point. Like you said before, tanks. I'm being picky. Like Matt said, I don't want to be. I want every acro. I want every coral. But I can't. So I have to be very picky at this point, which I hate.
Yeah.
And the things that are on my short list, and I also don't want to pay a lot of money for them. So
I
I don't
think
usually
some.
come home from
I
shows
think
with stuff.
it would potentially interest you because obviously there's people. I don't know. Do you buy much online when you do? Because obviously there's going to be people like Poontang. There's going to be like maybe Dong. There'll be Worldwide
Yeah, a little
Coral.
bit.
There'll be people that maybe you don't have access to.
Yeah, yeah.
But there is, like you say, there is that risk if you buy that lovely coral and.
Well, and I think that shows used to be like you could get a good deal on stuff that you couldn't normally find, right? So
Yeah.
you could find new interesting things and you could pay less money for them, right? That was the paradigm, I don't know, several years ago, but I I don't I don't need to go see more of the same stuff at the same price.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah.
But that said, like I don't know, I'm in this deep enough that like I gotta go to Reefapalooza. I have to. I'm gonna. It's something. It's on my list to do, but I haven't made it up to this point. So
Yeah. Yeah. So, John, I think Paul will send out the tickets 2 weeks before the show.
Yeah.
So that because a lot of the email clients only sync 2 weeks worth of emails to your phone, so that he does it right at the last minute, so that it's still in your recent history on your phone when you get to the show and need to show your ticket. So it makes it easier for you. So yeah, he'll be doing it right towards the last minute in the last kind of 2 weeks.
There's no need for it so early on. So yeah, exactly that.
No. I think it would be really great if you could show us some of your tank and any of the things that you've been explaining so far, so we can kind of get a better picture.
I don't
of
think
that
last
stuff.
time we really got a chance for me to carry the phone around and look at stuff.
No, we didn't.
All right, let's see.
So, Mike, your auto feeders, is that to prevent you from again putting stuff in the tank, or is that just because it's better for you to just top them up, leave the tank alone? What was the thought?
Yeah, I mean, it would. I want to feed the fish a lot, and obviously I can't be here every 2 hours to feed them. I like to feed them, but I like to also know that if I get busy or something happens, that they're still going to get fed anyway, right? I mean, I think that in the wild, the fish are eating all day long. Like that's what they do. They wake up and they eat all day long. That's their, you know what I mean? That and breeding, right? And they're not going to be breeding in the tank. So that just means they're going to be eating all day long, right? And if they're not eating, they're looking for food. So yeah, I mean, it's just kind of an effort to emulate what I think is the natural situation. Let me see if I can flip.
Oh, away we go.
Yep.
And it's still light enough that I don't even think I need the orange lens at this point.
No, that's good.
But
so you've got some LPS, so
a little, yeah.
And are they? So you've got a fair few angels. They're left alone. There's no pecking.
Hammer forever. And I've got another hammer over there, but I've got a few other hammers that I've introduced. This one's like I guess like peach, and I've got an orange one somewhere. But when I introduced those, the angelfish did go after them, and I had to grow them out to about the size of a tennis ball for them to be left alone. So I think, if you put in one head, the angelfish was going after it. If it was like 3 or 4 heads, the angelfish was going after it. And it wasn't until I grew it out into probably 10 plus heads that it was able to be fine. And I think what it probably is that the angelfish is going to nip it 3 times. And if a single head gets nipped 3 times, it's going to be halfway to dead, and then it's going to be stressed, and then he's going to keep nipping it, right? Whereas a bigger colony can just handle a little bit of nipping and not really miss a beat, and then it'll leave it alone. The flow is the other concern, right? So most of the places in this tank, like a hammer would just get ripped apart. So there's very few places where I can put a hammer. They're either like tucked around corners or like right under the pumps. But most of the places, if I put a hammer anywhere in here, it's just going to get ripped to shreds.
I think we might have lost a bit of internet quality. It's very notchy as you're moving around. Yeah, it kind of caught up a little bit then, but
I don't know. Maybe I'm moving too much. I haven't done anything different, so hopefully.
Yeah.
It's very full.
Yes, it is very full.
I like it. How big is this majestic? Someone's asked about it, but that looks like a big fish, Mike.
Yeah, he's that big. I don't know, probably 6 inches maybe.
Yeah. How old is he?
Oh gosh, I've had him since probably 2013.
It's an old fish.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, 13 plus years old.
Yeah, and the Rego I've had a year longer. I've
Wow.
had the Reef since 2012, I think.
Oh, yeah, that's back. And in terms of par, have you measured par? And because you've got acros quite low down, do you know what you're
Yeah,
getting like down there?
it's under 200. It's like 100 to 200 at the bottom, 200 to 300 in the middle, and 300 to 400 at the top.
So the macros are still doing really well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, so first of all, I think that's true. I think people overestimate a little what they need. But second of all, I mean, like this is a dragon. Like I put certain ones at the bottom, right?
Yeah, that's a smooth.
This is another dragon down here, and I put Anacroporas down at the bottom as well. These are Montes, Monty. But I think also like some of the quote unquote high end corals really need higher par to like show their best color. But I tend to pick corals that don't really need like a specific wavelength of light or a specific trace element to look good, right? Like a green slimer or a blue tort. Like a green slimer, right? Like a red dragon. It's just going to look good even if you're giving it less light than it wants, right?
Yeah.
Whereas that's not the case for some fancy schmancy $200 frag, right? It's only going to look good if you hit it with a 500 par of a specific spectrum. So
Yeah. If you look at it wrong, it's going to die.
yeah.
Very nice.
But in terms of kind of under the hood, I've got my lighting is Kessel and T5s. I've got 2 T5s in the front, 2 T5s in the back, and then 3 Kessels down the middle. The Kessels are actually on a light mover. If you can tell, they're actually moving right now.
Yes. Yeah, I remember that from last time. That was really clever.
And so, normally you would have 1 Kessel mounted over each 2-foot section of the tank. I'm still doing that, but they're mounted just a little off center, so they move back and forth, and that really helps like reduce shadows and shading, especially when you've got like big multi-branch, multi-layer colonies like this. I mean, you can see the shadows, and you can literally see the shadows move when the lights are moving. So I think that's important. And then
what tubes T5s are they, and how often do you replace them?
they are 2 Aqua Blue Special and 2 Blue Plus. So it's a very like white mixture, or like what we used to call 50-50 back in the day. It's a very white look by today's standards. I replace the bulbs every 2 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've got an AI blade over on this side just to kind of get a little bit of extra light all the way at the edge here. And I've got a couple other little Kessels in the corner over here, again, just providing some spotlight down into the corners, since I'm trying to keep acros in every square inch of this tank.
Yeah, you're doing a great job of it.
Yep. Very good.
I've got basically a Vortec in each corner, and they go through different flow patterns throughout the day. So typically like opposite corners will be on to create like a gyre motion in one direction, as opposed to them fighting each other, crashing together. But it changes up every couple hours through different flow patterns and different modes. The return is going through a C-swirl here. So that's a rotating outlet that goes back and forth.
Yeah.
And then I've got 4, my drains are just upturned elbows. I think out of the tank aesthetically. So that's something I've done for a long time, is I've just drilled the tanks myself and just use one little, upturned black elbow in a corner, and it's really unobtrusive.
Yeah.
Very clever.
Travis
And
is
so
asking.
this opens up on the side. Oh yeah, go ahead.
He's saying, do you flip your T5s end for end every few months?
Nope. I'm not saying you shouldn't do that. Maybe that's a good idea. I don't know. No, I've never done that. Interesting thought. But so this side panel opens up, and these are the drains. The drains go down. They tee together. The 4 drains tee into 2 completely independent drain lines. And the idea there is that, one of them could get clogged and I would still have a complete independent drain line running back to the sump out in the garage.
Yeah.
And so that's where it goes down into the crawl space in the wall. The rest of this is just kind of like electrical for the power heads and the lights.
Holy no.
Yeah. Wow.
I like it.
And this is a peninsula tank, right? What's the view like
so
from the other side?
Let me step back here a little bit. So
Fish on it.
it's not quite a peninsula. So it's viewed from both sides in 2 different rooms, right? So this room is like built in, right, with cabinetry.
Yep.
And then the other side is flush mount in the wall in my living room.
Wow.
So
yeah, that looks amazing.
Yeah, the thing about this, as you'll notice, I have no access from this side. So I have to climb up like an 8-foot A-frame ladder and like that was the sacrifice I chose to make for like a clean look on this side of the tank.
Yeah.
But it's really hard to see what I'm doing when I'm working on this side of the tank. But
it's interesting.
It is like having a whole other tank
blue.
over here.
The light looks more blue from this side.
It's probably just the amount. I mean, unfortunately, I've got windows behind both sides, right? So it may have just been that you had a lot of light coming from the background. One of the frustrating things about this is I can basically only take like videos or pictures of the tank when it's dark outside. And in the summer, like that doesn't happen till 9 o'clock. So I really struggle to like get pictures of the tank for half the year. That's the redeeming quality of the winter. When it starts getting dark at 4:30, I have a lot more time to take pictures of the tank. But
wow.
The glare, it doesn't the glare doesn't show up in person, so it's
it's only on camera, isn't it, that it messes with it?
Yeah. But whole other tank over here. But I've got to do, this is my like maintenance coming up, right? So I like the look of the swim throughs. I like a manicured look of like 3 bommies, right? 3 islands. This area is loose.
Oh.
So I've got to come in and I got to trim this coral, and I've got a big creamsicle table back there that I got to trim up. So, I mean, that's basically the majority of my maintenance at this point is fragging and trimming, right? Because if I go a couple weeks, like all of these things are going to start stinging each other and overgrowing each other. And and if you wait too long, then it gets overgrown, and then you have to trim everything back, and it looks like you've gone in there and hacked everything up. And so, I'm trying to kind of maintain it in a state where it doesn't look like I've been in there cutting up all my corals, even though I'm doing that almost every week, right? But if you go trim up the whole thing at the same time, then the tank looks like it's been, chopped to shreds, and then it doesn't look good again for another 6 to 12 months, right?
Yeah.
But like, here's that side where I gotta do something with this guy. Maybe take off this right here and kind of open this back up to give more of like a visually defined 2 separate spaces. But
that does look stunning.
Very, very nice.
So John's asking, do you trim the corals in the tank? If so, how?
Yeah, almost always, right? And so I've just got some snips. I mean, I just go in there and I've actually got several videos on Instagram. So, I don't mean to plug my
No, that's
socials or
fine.
whatever, but definitely, some of them like let me show an example here. The most recent video I posted just this past week, and this coral has actually fallen over, but it's a pain in the ass to get in here, and so I haven't fixed it yet. But this goldenrod, this was about this big. It was stinging both of these corals here, and it was touching the front glass. And so I just took the whole colony out and then saved myself a section of it, and then put that back in. Ignore the fact that it fell over because it did. But so some of the bigger ones, I'll do that. Like the Slimer, what I'll end up doing with the Slimer when it gets up to the surface is I'll take the whole thing out. I'll probably cut away the outer branches and the bottom and then remount like the middle back in there, right? So
Yeah.
I don't necessarily go in and chop these up because it'll end up looking goofy, right? I try to take a section of the coral that I can replant as like an instant mini colony. But like that's not what I'm going to do for that table, that creamsicle. I'm just going to have to go in there and snip branches. And that's what I do, like if I'm being selective here and individual branches starting to interfere, I just take my snips in and cut them. And I've got a funny reel up too where I was trying to cut one piece of this pink millie. You can see the rest of the pink millies right there. And I tried to cut a branch off of this, and instead the whole thing like snapped and fell off.
Yeah, I
Um,
saw that.
so, that happens too. Sometimes you try to cut one branch here and then the whole rest of the thing will fall apart. Yeah.
Very nice.
So I guess a little of both, right?
Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah, that does look stunning. I really like that kind of central bommy that you've got with all the coral on.
Yeah, and I've spent a lot of time kind of like looking at natural reef pictures and trying to understand, when I look at a tank and I like the way it looks, I try to understand like what is it about that I like the look of, right? And one of the things I figured out early on was limited equipment visibility, not having a big bulky overflow or wires or power head, stuck on a viewing pane or anything like that, even mag floats and frag racks and stuff like that. But also, the idea of kind of like a bouquet of stags blossoming out of tables. And so that's kind of like the idea to give that natural look is kind of mounting tables on the sides and around, and then stags up top. And that works well too because stags are typically branched enough that they don't shade anything, right? Like this green slimer can be up top and everything around it's still getting plenty of light because it's not that dense, right? But like if you put this thing up top, nothing, no other acros are going to be able to go under it. This one's half of this one's sad, and then Setosa can live anywhere. That stuff can live in full shade. So, and I've got a Ghani under there too. A little mad.
Oh yeah.
But,
it's
that's my one test Ghani.
That's experience, I guess. That's just you've learned from your mistakes, and you've just now created a masterpiece, I guess.
Yeah, and like I said, I mean, I move stuff around, right? Like if it grows in a wacky place or I didn't like how it's looking, I move it. I mean, it's your tank. You should do what you want with it, right? You're not stuck. Don't be like, oh man, like this didn't work.
Yeah.
Well, it's your tank. Change it. Get in there and move it. Like, and I don't mean like move your stuff all around. I don't do that based on like, oh, a coral's, not doing well. I don't mean to give the impression that you should be moving frags around all the time, but within reason, you can move corals around for aesthetic reasons, right?
Are your corals just glued, or are they epoxied, or are they on like plugs?
Most of it, like when I mount corals, I do like an epoxy glue combo. I just get the water epoxy from the hardware store, and I do like a dab of super glue gel, a ball of 2-part putty epoxy, and then another dab of super glue gel, and push that into place. But a lot of the bigger colonies too, like with real live rock, if it's craggy enough and the colony is craggy enough, you can just kind of shove them in place, and then in a week or two they'll encrust down. So like this Millie is just shoved back there. This guy was just shoved there. Even the green Slimer is just, it's got a stem that's down in the rocks, and I like leaned another rock up to it. And but you know, if I'm starting something from a frag, I'll mount them. I'll mount them down.
Yeah.
Colonies are a lot of times so heavy that like that's not going to work anyway. It's only going to work. It can't work against gravity, right?
Yeah.
Like you need to be somewhere where the colony is going to be, you know, have gravity working with you anyway. And like that's why this guy fell, is because same thing. It's craggy enough that if you just shove it back in that hole, like one of the branches will catch and then it'll stay there. I mean, obviously it didn't, but that's what I usually do. I'm just going to shove it back in there and then give it 2 weeks to encrust down, and it should be fine. But
Yeah. So John's asking, how much do you think your marine biology major helped you compared to us mere hobbyists?
oh, not a lot, not a lot. But I do think it's informed certain things. Like I think my philosophy on feeding my fish a lot, I think that kind of came from that side of things. Um, my a little bit of understanding about like food availability for corals. Um, you know, some of that stuff has stuck with me. Just in terms of the fact that like, you know, the reason that corals evolved photosynthesis is because there is not a ton of food available, or at the very least there's a lot of competition for what food is available. There's a lot of bacterioplankton, but the reason that the tropical waters are crystal clear is because there's not a bunch of stuff in there, right? um
Yeah.
you know, that's, I don't think that phytoplankton is a major part of reef crest food chain. Plankton make their way to, you know, zooplankton import those nutrients to the reef, but um I think it's just kind of giving me a little bit of an understanding of like the different biomes, you know, the difference between a reef crest versus a lagoon, and understanding that that's where, you know, the places that an elegance coral is found is very different than where a staghorn acropora is found, right? Um,
Do you think um, having a mixed reef is harder than your predominant SPS because, like you say, you're trying to balance so
yes,
many different biomes?
yes, absolutely. So, I mean, this is, to be clear, I think SPS are the hardest type of corals to keep. But if you can keep 3 SPS, you can keep 100, right? So what's harder is different biomes in the same tank. And, you know, I don't have to worry about that because I just put a shit ton of light and a shit ton of flow in here and everything's happy no matter where I put it, right? But like
Yeah.
if you're trying to keep an elegance 6 inches away from an acro, that's a lot harder. You know, I don't have to worry about finding a low light place for chalices. I don't have to worry about finding a low light place or a low flow place for, you know, Euphilia. I mean, these ones, I shove them in the few places that I can, and they, you know, my one Ghani over there, I got it from a friend, and I told him, like, look, I'm not going to feed it. I'm just going to shove it in a corner, and if it lives, it lives, right? I'm not babying this thing. And so far it's done okay, but you know, it's definitely harder to meet the needs of all those different types of corals, even feeding, right? Like if you think you're going to go in there and you want to feed your LPS, but now you're introducing nutrient instability to your SPS. Um, so yeah, I do think a mixed reef is harder. I think people think that an all SPS is harder because it's all SPS, but it takes just as much work. Like I said, if you keep 3 SPS alive, 3 acros alive, well, you might as well, you know, have 100, because if you piss off one, you're going to piss off all of them, right? So um, it's a more homogenous community I mean, it's hard. Honestly, sometimes I struggle with the frag tanks because I can't find a good place to put, those corals. When I frag the hammers, I have to put them in the frag tank, and then I have to put a PVC pipe around them just to shade them from all the flow. Um, and I generally just try to get rid of them as fast as I can because they're going to sting other things and get pissed off and all that. So,
I
yeah.
think what I'd like to see is someone to just do an Australian tank or an Indonesian tank, just to see if they'd have any more success. Because, like you say, if they're all from the same area as such, would that improve a mixed reef tank? Because obviously we just go, we'll have some Australian, we'll have some Indonesian, we'll have some of this, we'll have some of that. I wonder if you picked an area of the world and went, right, my tank is going to be this tank. Whether that'd help.
Yeah. And that's interesting. I mean, my gut thought is no. I think it's more about the biome or the subhabitat than the geographical region, right? Like the acros are where the waves are crashing. And then, a couple hundred yards behind them is where all of the detritus settles and is low flow. And that's where you're going to find, elegance corals and some of those other LPS is sitting in. Sometimes it's muddy water, and it's not what you would think of as a clean tropical reef. Um, but it can be the same area, but it's kind of a different subset of the reef or whatever. I think it could be, you could do more about if you had all your power heads right here and you did, or like a drop off tank, right? Like you have high flow in this section and then you just don't have any power heads on this half of the tank. And then you keep, LPS down there. I think that would be maybe interesting.
Yeah.
Very nice.
What's been your biggest reef keeping disaster?
I mean, I don't know. Happened and the entire tank crashed. I've had a lot of setbacks or mini crashes. I've had, like I said, a return pump fail while I was out of town. I've killed all my SPS corals many times. Not recently, but many times with things like the dosing container getting low and I didn't notice, and so my alk crashed. Calcium reactor running out of CO2 and I didn't notice, so my alk crashed. Cat chewed through the dosing line, and so my alk crashed. Are you noticing a theme there?
Yeah.
So I'm so now I test alkalinity 6 times a day with my Trident because that's the cause of most of my historical crashes. I've had some issues in the past. I think you mentioned lanthanum earlier. I used lanthanum for a while, and eventually I had a buildup of lanthanum in the system, and I started seeing a loss of a lot of my microfauna. And interestingly enough, anemones and LPS were more impacted, or at least I could tell. And I did an ICP and found out that the lanthanum was way too high, and luckily that wasn't I was able to kind of resolve that, but it killed my hermit crabs and inverts and stuff like that. I wasn't dosing it into a 5 micron sock. I was dosing it into the roller mat, and I don't think that was fine enough to catch the particulates.
Okay, that's interesting.
I think I've dealt with a velvet issue once as well. This was right after graduating.
Oh,
Uh-oh.
That's not looking good.
Not looking good. I think we've lost them. I think we might have lost. Oh, no.
Yeah, it'll probably pop back in a second.
What a beautiful tank.
That is a stunning tank. Yeah, I remember a few things from the last time round as we start to get talking. The moving kessels are really, really
He
clever.
has gone into depth. Mike has gone so far into depth, of moving lights. looking at this, looking at that. I guess in 20 years, if I can think of some of that stuff, then amazing.
Yeah.
Sorry, I got a phone call and it kicked me off. Yeah, so I think I had like a velvet issue at 1.2 and lost a lot of fish, and but knock on wood, a lot of that stuff's well in the past. Yeah.
You live and learn, don't you?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. All of these hurdles they're just lessons to learn, aren't they?
Yeah.
Very nice.
I can show you some of the guts too.
Oh, yeah, that'd be good.
Now, this is normally a bit of a mad scientist situation. I'm gonna give you a fair warning that it is even worse than usual because I'm in the middle of like 3 different projects. So,
Jesus Christ, you took the garage over fully, well over.
well,
Wow.
when we moved in, my wife said, I'm going to park in my half of the garage. You can do whatever you want with your half of the garage. So I took that to heart. This is my half of the garage. But so the pipes come through the wall over here and then out into this sump. This is 2 40-gallon tanks side by side. And the water flows back to front. So I've got a big old skimmer in there. I've got a filter sock on this side. Typically, there's some ketomorpha in here. I have it pulled out right now. 2 different return pumps on 2 different electrical circuits. So if a breaker trips or a GFI trips, I still have flow through the system. I have half my heating and cooling on one breaker, half my heating and cooling on the other. So if anything, if a breaker trips, I still have the system still running. This is kind of the mess of stuff that keeps it running. I've got my tridents over here, a dose, another dose. I feed my skimmer with air from outside. I've got ozone going to the skimmer as well. A big UV on my return line somewhere back there.
Wow.
Got a chiller, and then here's the frag tanks. This was grown organically. Like I didn't have frag tanks, and then I plumbed in a frag tank and realized I needed another one. So I plumbed in another one, and then realized I needed another one. So I plumbed in another one. And I'm trying to, at this point, kind of consolidate all this into one big system here. I've got a little refugium up there as well. But
Wow.
the corals just, if you don't get rid of the frags, then you need to frag the frags. And then you just, you know what I mean? So.
Would you say you're obsessed?
Yeah. But I mean, I think a lot of us are.
Yeah, we're totally
Yeah.
agree. I'm just wondering if he was in denial or.
No, but I mean, I think that's okay. I love to see people get like super into like niche stuff. You know what I mean? I love when people are into like random hobbies and they're like really into it,
Yeah.
I bet you've got friends that are going like, he's the random fish guy. Like,
yeah. But again, like they've known it the whole time, right?
Yeah.
So like when I was in college, I had my wife and I, my girlfriend at the time, she's my wife now, we had a 2-bedroom apartment. One bedroom was our bedroom and the other one was the fish tank room. So.
Wow. And do you, out of all of your friends, do you have the craziest hobby?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you're definitely balls deep in the hobby there. That is,
Yeah.
it's crazy.
So, and this is like the janky stuff that I've rigged up right now. So I've got like a bunch of 20-gallon tanks down here, and I just daisy changed them with these little siphon tubes. And so my plan is to just like take all of these racks out and plop them in down here so that then I can take these frag tanks down and put something new in its place. And this is my quarantine setup here that I'm kind of halfway through building out. This is where I mix my water. This is plumbed into the system. So the way that I do a water change is I just turn on a valve over here, and then this just circulates in with the system. It's teed off of my return pump. So when I want to change the water, I just shut off that valve and I can open up a valve down here and drain the barrel, fill it back up with a float valve, add a bag of salt, and then turn on the valve over here and it just starts circulating back in with the system again. So I don't do any, like lugging buckets or even measuring salt or anything like that.
Is there anything you've not thought of? Because you thought of even things I'm like, oh yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah, well, that's the other thing too, is that I've had several setups, and every time I have a setup and something pisses me off about it, I fix that next time, right? And like I know myself, I think water changes are a really important part of my maintenance, and I know that if it's hard, I'm not going to do it. So I just made it easy, right? I'll do water changes if I just turn a couple valves, right? I mean,
do you know where everything is?
Do I what?
Do you know where everything is? So if something went wrong, do you go, right, I know exactly where that is? Or like,
yeah, I mean, like, and that's the thing. Like, this has always been my organization style, right? Like, I pretty much know where my stuff is, but I know it's chaos, right? But like, I was one of those kids in school that had like a binder, like I just had like a bag full of papers, and like the teachers freaked out and tried to like have me fix it, and like I don't know, it made sense to me. I generally know where my stuff is.
that's what matters.
But,
as long as you know where it is.
I'm not one of those people, when people show like the sump and it's all clean and the wires are managed, like this is the managed version for me. Like I've gone through and done cord management. So I want you to know this is like the best possible, cleanest version of cord management.
There was a tank on the floor, like literally by your feet, like to the right of you. I was like, oh,
I know. I just got an order of corals today and I didn't finish. They're dipping right now. I just got this order from a wholesaler today, and I'm dipping them in potassium chloride, and then once we get off, I'll throw them in somewhere. I don't know where the hell I'm going to put them. Buy first, ask questions later.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Travis is asking whereabouts in the States you're from.
North Carolina, outside of Raleigh.
So are you part of the North Carolina Reefers or whatever they're called?
Yeah, we've got a kind of a
Alyssa's gang.
Yes. Yep. Yeah. Carolina Reefing community. Yep.
You know the crazy Polish lady.
Russian.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Don't not call her Polish, jeez. Crazy Russian.
She might murder you.
She might.
Yeah.
But I mean, to be fair, this is a little worse than normal. But I mean, it's usually pretty nuts back here. So
I like it.
You've even got a manual stapling machine for the bags, haven't you?
Oh yeah, I just got that. That's fun. It's for making like sausage casings, and it does that. Yeah, you can. I had a couple weeks ago. I sent out 6 boxes in 1 week, and each box had probably 12 or something corals. And the rubber bands, I triple bag every coral, and like the rubber bands had like made my fingers raw from like doing this, and so I just went on and bought this, and so now I can just like clank it down. I mean, it's kind of a fun toy. I don't know.
What make is it?
Like Vivo or Vervo or something. Vevor? I don't know.
Vevor,
it's probably backwards for you. Vivor?
No, it's just the company I work for owns a company called Tippertie, which make those exact machines.
Okay, yeah. I mean, it's just it feels pretty cool to crank this down and have it the thump, and then your bag's closed. So
yeah,
right. Yeah.
Very cool. Well, I mean, we're out of time now, so again, we're probably gonna have to get you back on again because we've run out of time. We still haven't gone through everything, but
well, I think we went through. At least we got to see the front end and the back end this time, right?
Yes.
If this hasn't scared you off, then
Oh no, we love the crazy. Yeah, the crazier the better.
I mean, it works. And here's the other thing, real quick. I was thinking about this. I talk about like a complicated system or whatever. I don't think of my system actually as complicated, which like you might think like what are you possibly talking about, right? But I think that it's okay to add complexity to a system if it's reducing risk. And so a lot of this complexity is about reducing risk. It's about redundancy, multiple return pumps, multiple layers of heaters. I have 3 separate outlets just for heaters so that the heaters can kick on. And if I need more heaters, then the next outlet kicks on. And if I need more heaters, the next outlet kicks on. And so, there's no one failure point. I've got multiple circuits running the tank. I think some people add complexity to their systems with marginal benefit and no risk reduction, right? And so I think there's, at the heart of my maintenance, I do think my maintenance is not complex. I dose homemade calcium and alkalinity and do water changes with the cheapest brand of salt that's available. And that's pretty much it, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of the equipment that runs my tank is there for redundancy or automation to save me from myself. I get alerts when the dosing containers are low because I'm going to forget to refill them. I get alerts if equipment has been off for too long because I'm going to turn it off and forget about it. Everything's on float valves because I have never once turned on water and then not flooded whatever I was filling up. I mean, this doesn't have a float valve. I flood the garage once a week because I go to fill up a bucket and walk away. But it's fine. It's a garage, right? So I just don't even clean it up. It just evaporates and it's fine. But so the system's complex, but it's complexity that reduces risk, right?
Yeah.
Or out of necessity, like I said, just
Yeah.
keep plumbing in more frag tanks, Matt. That's what I think you should do. You're out of space, just keep plumbing in, just plumb in a frag tank.
Yeah.
And behind your tank is the garage, isn't it? So you could drill through and
cut a hole in your wall, man.
There's a pathway. There's a pathway currently.
okay.
Hey, this is on the entire opposite side of my house, so
Yeah. I don't know if I'm that brave, but
do you not worry about water coming out randomly underneath your house?
no. I don't know. Maybe I should. No, it's fine. I mean, it's the same, like, I don't know. There's pipes in your walls anyway, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
true.
very true.
You've got I've had a pipe burst in my wall that was completely not aquarium related. So, I mean, if it's going to happen, it's going to happen.
Is it flexi pipe or is it solid pipe?
That's PVC. It's solid.
Okay. Oh, Salt Creek. That's probably sealed them pipes up forever.
Yeah.
Nature's glue.
Yeah.
Awesome, Mike. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much for showing us through everything. It is just such a phenomenal setup. And we can see why the tank looks like it does, can't we?
Blows my mind what people do for this hobby. It's crazy. I feel like I'm a beginner.
Well, at least we'll end on a good note here. End back on the pretty side of things.
Yeah.
Very cool. Awesome.
Perfect. Well, thank you very much. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Next week I have Graham from Aquarium Adventures, I think his channel's called. It'll be an interesting one because he's actually a freshwater fish keeper, but he does lots of games on his show. So he's going to bring one of his games onto the show, and I'm going to bring a few games. So next week will be more of a kind of games night, and an opportunity to try and seed the idea of putting salt in one of his tanks. See if we can convert him.
And tomorrow I'll be on AAC if you want to hear more from me. Well, no, I ain't going to be talking tomorrow. But yeah.
So who are you on AAC's stream with?
So I'm on with Paul, Fan Fame, and Laura from Eco Marine. So there's a seller for Love to Reef. There's obviously Fan talking about his urchins. And then there's me and Paul talking about Love to Reef, and Paul Hughes obviously running the stream.
Yeah.
So yeah, see you there if you're around.
What time is that tomorrow?
7:30.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. So YouTube 7:30, AAC's channel.
Yeah.
Talking about Love to
TV.
Reef and urchin spawning with Fan.
Yes. See you.
Brilliant.
Thanks again, Mike.
Thank you very much, everyone. Thanks, Mike.
Bye.
Yeah, thank you.
See ya.
Always happy to talk about fish tanks.
Yes.
Bye, all.
See
Bye.
you next time.